Hello passion fruits, it's your girl VH with another video. I know I've been less present on YouTube and Instagram these past few weeks, and there's a very good reason for that. And that's what today's video is gonna be about. At first, I thought it was just me. I thought I was just not doing a great job in eating disorder recovery. And I thought that all of my misery and struggle, was just me. It was really weird because, before I relapsed and got into this really negative downwards spiral, I was doing super well in recovery. And my relapse had been triggered, and I know what the trigger was. I know what triggered me initially to have that first binge again. And it could have been the Strattera, but I'm not 100% sure. So I'm not gonna blame that on the medication. But the fact that I kept binging for so long and that I wasn't able to climb out of the negative spiral was the fault of this little stupid pill. And I'm gonna tell you what happened, because I feel like it's important to warn people. I'm not a doctor and I'm not going to tell you to never ever take this, because it does work quite well for some people, but for me it did the exact opposite, and it was even dangerous to take this medication for me. I literally almost died, and I'm going to tell you what happened in this video. Sorry, the dog is constantly asking for my attention. He wants to be petted all of the time, or else he'll push my arms with his nose. He's a spoiled little brat. So I have ADHD on top of an eating disorder, and it's really hard to recover from an eating disorder if you also have ADHD, which is why I take medication for my ADHD. Before I started taking Strattera, I was on Concerta, which worked perfectly for me. But my therapist was talking about Strattera from day one. I was in therapy with her. And from the beginning, intuitively, I was like, no, I think Concerta is going to be the best for me. So that is why I started taking Concerta instead of Strattera. But, then it came to a point where I started doubting if Concerta was still working good enough. And I just want to mention right now that it was still working. It was just that, in the beginning, if you have ADHD and you start taking medication, you feel the difference very well. But then after a while, it still works, but you're used to it. You're used to your new you. And it may seem like it's not working as strongly as before, but it's probably still working just like before. You know what I mean? It's just that you don't notice the differences in yourself as much anymore as before, because you're used to it now. I just want to say that in advance. So because I started doubting it, my therapist was like, well, why don't you start taking Strattera? I have many clients who have had a lot of success with Strattera, and she recommended Strattera from the beginning. I was in therapy with her. But intuitively, I was always like, no, I feel like Concerta is going to be really good for me. And I just had this feeling that Strattera was not going to be good for me. But, it came to a point where I was willing to really try out Strattera and be neutral about it. Just try it out and, just do it. So I went to my neurologist and I talked to him about it, and he was all for it. So he prescribed me Strattera. And, Strattera contains a substance that needs to build up in your brain. So it doesn't start working from day one. You have to build it up. And that's what I did. I started taking a low dose, and then, we built it up. And after a few weeks, my boyfriend was like, honey, don't you have the feeling that Strattera isn't working as well as Concerta? And I got kind of angry with him, and I was like, no, don't blame it on the pills. We should really try this out. You're judging too fast. And actually, this was just the first sign. My boyfriend was already noticing that I was starting to act different. But, you know, it was still just after only 3 weeks or so. So he wasn't too sure as well. And my reaction was kind of strong. So he was afraid to just say anything more. So yeah, I just continued to take Strattera. And then I was triggered. Something happened in my life and I was triggered to binge again. And normally I would pick myself up after that and just, you know, try again. Recovery is a roller coaster of ups and downs. No biggie, you know? But I wasn't able to pick myself up. And I started to get more and more depressed. And I just thought it was because of the binging. You know, binge eating makes you depressed. So I just thought that this was my eating disorder at work, you know? But the really weird thing was that I'm normally a really positive person, even when I'm being negative, you know? Before I took Strattera, when I binged and when I got into a negative cycle, I was always able to pull myself out of that cycle after a few weeks, tops, you know? And this time I just couldn't. And I had mood swings, like this one moment I was really positive and then I was really negative and I could only think in thoughts of doom. I apologize for my bad English. I could only think in negative stuff. And that's just not me. But I didn't realize that this was happening. I wasn't aware of the fact that I was changing. My character was really changing. My personality was changing. And I just didn't notice because I am in me, you know. And day after day, I just started to become more and more depressed, negative. And I also started to experience anger and hate. I started to create feelings of hate towards my boyfriend, but he didn't do anything wrong. I had anger attacks, like really irrational anger attacks, but I just thought that it was because I was struggling. I did think to myself, this is really weird, this is not me, but I just didn't realize it was because of the medication. And the more depressed I got, the more suicidal thoughts I started to get. And every day I started to think about killing myself. And when I thought about killing myself, I instantly got this really sad feeling because I felt sad for my mom, for my boyfriend. I didn't feel sad because I would die. I felt sad for the people who would have to miss me, you know? That's the only reason that I couldn't do it. But I was thinking about it every day, and that's not me. I would never do that. And the suicidal thoughts started to become stronger and stronger every day. I started to visualize me sitting in the bathtub and putting a hairdryer in the bathtub. It was insane. And even then, I still didn't realize that it was the medication. I didn't have a clue. And my boyfriend started telling me, like, he started to become depressed as well. And he told me that he really had the feeling that I was slipping away, that he was losing me. And that sounded really serious to me. And I think what he felt was that he felt my suicidal thoughts. I didn't always express them, but he felt that I was not there anymore. So I had extreme anger attacks, irrational anger attacks. I was super depressed. I couldn't think positively anymore. If I was being positive, it was only for a brief moment, and then I would fall into a downward spiral of negativism. and I would have serious suicidal thoughts. And because I was so depressed, I just could not stop binging because I couldn't deal with the depression. Also, but I only realized this when I stopped taking Strattera. I realized that Strattera made my anxiety even worse. But as it was happening, I just didn't have a clue. And it got to a point where I became so desperate and so hopeless, I just didn't have any hope, and it started to become really, really dangerous. And on the day of my birthday, I made another attempt to be positive, and the weather was really nice, so we decided to go hiking with the dogs in nature. And at first I was really positive, but then, snap, I fell into a downward spiral of negativism again. And I just felt the hopelessness again, and yeah, I started crying and I started talking crazy, like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore, there's no more hope for me, I should just kill myself. And in the car, when we went back home, I was so desperate and hopeless, and I was thinking, this is not normal. How can this be happening to me? I don't know why I am this way. This is really extreme. I'm normally such a positive, strong person. And as I was thinking about how all of this was even possible and how extreme it was, it suddenly clicked. And I was like, oh my God, it's the medication. And suddenly I realized that all of this was caused by just something being wrong in my brain. And I took the, how do you call it in English? You know, the paper with all of the side effects that's normally in the box of your medication. I took that and I started reading it, and I was like, oh my God, our jaws just dropped. You know, like, I'm so sorry for my bad English. We were shocked because all of the dangerous, negative stuff that was happening to me was all included in the paper of the medication. The negativity, the suicidal thoughts, extreme thoughts of hopelessness, feelings of hate and anger towards others, extreme anger attacks, suicidal thoughts, I already mentioned that, I think, depression, everything was in there. And I felt so stupid that I didn't read it before I started taking it. But the reason I didn't was because I didn't want to be influenced in any way. I really did want to try out Strattera without any judgment beforehand, you know. That's why I didn't read it before I started taking the medication. So my birthday was in the weekend, so I couldn't see a doctor right away. But I decided to just quit cold turkey with the Strattera because what was happening was really dangerous. I almost killed myself. I started to get to a point where I was really thinking about it, and I was a completely different person. And when I explained this to my therapist, she actually admitted that there have been murders in America, for example, high school kids who just took a shotgun and killed all of their fellow students and teachers because of the side effects of certain medications, such as Prozac, for example. And they have actually not been convicted in court. The judge let them free, you know, they didn't have to go to prison because it's actually been proven that that wasn't them, it was the medication. And I feel like that was what was happening to me. So yeah, it was really extreme, and I just quit cold turkey, and the day after that I could already feel the changes. I started to become positive again. The suicidal thoughts went away, the depression went away. I was able to stop binging right away, actually, and it was just amazing. So that really confirmed that it was the Strattera causing all of this and not just me. And I really wanted to make a video about this because the side effects of Strattera are really, really dangerous. And not everyone reacts to Strattera like this. Some people are really doing a great job on Strattera. So I'm not saying that Strattera is bad for everyone. I'm just saying that you should be careful because you might react like I did. Not everyone reacts the same, you know, and that's what has been happening to me. If I look back, then I now realize that I started crying in one of my live streams, and then, you know, after a few minutes, I was cheerful again. And I now realize that that was insane. It was an insane mood swing caused by the Strattera. Even my boyfriend's daughter, who is 12, told me, yeah, Elke, I didn't want to say this before, but a few weeks ago when I was with you, I also thought you were acting weird. It's like you weren't you anymore. And she said, oh, Elke, I don't know how to put this. She said, you're normally way stronger than that. So she also noticed a big difference. I was just emotionally and mentally weaker than normal. I just wasn't me anymore. So yeah, I'm off Strattera now. I'm trying to lose the weight I've gained by being so depressed and binging every day. I gained 13 kilos in less than 3 weeks. So physically, it's been really hard as well. Yeah. That's what has been going on. I'm still recovering from what Strattera did to me. I'm trying to get my life back together. Yeah, and I'm doing better now. So I really do want to apologize for the fact that I have been less present. And I know it's not necessary. I know I don't need to give you guys an explanation, but I did want to share this story with you guys because it's important. I want people to know about the possible side effects of Strattera, and they were pretty damn serious for me. So another thing I only noticed when I quit taking Strattera was that I was an energy bomb again. Now, of course, ADHD medication needs to make you calm, but I'm back on Concerta now and I have way more energy. But the difference is so striking, it's so extreme that I now realize that Strattera wasn't just calming me down, it was turning me into a zombie. But being a zombie for me is just being normal, because I normally have so much energy because of my ADHD that when I take Concerta, I'm still super active. People still think like, whoa, that chick has so much energy. But with Strattera, I now realize that it wasn't just making me calm. It was, I don't know. So yeah, guys, that was my Strattera story. I do not recommend this medication to anyone. And I'm glad we found out in time because really bad things could have happened. Always be careful with new medication. So as I'm picking myself back up after this terrible experiment, you will see more videos appearing again. I will start doing more live streams again. So yeah, bitches, I'm back. Okay guys, I hope you have an amazing day and I will see you in the next video. Bye!